Dhananjay Joshi, who is the Senior VP and Head of Wind Business. And we're going to discuss some SCM business models for the wind industry. So Joshi, can you first provide a brief background of yourself?
Okay. Hi, Dustin. Myself, Dhananjay Joshi. I am basically a postgraduate mechanical engineer and a management graduate. And I have about more than a decade experience in the field of wind, and out of which most of it is in the supply chain management and the business strategy. I have been working with companies like Vestas Wind Technology, Asia Pacific, which is the largest company in the world providing wind solutions. Then Renew Power Ventures, which is a part of Goldman & Sachs, and Inox Wind, which is an Indian company. And I now head the wind division of SL Group, one of the largest media houses and infrastructure company in India. So that's my brief introduction.
Thanks. Well, my first question is, what are some of the SCM business models for the wind industry?
Yeah. So to answer to your question, globally, if you talk about, let's talk about the stakeholders in the wind business. The first stakeholder is the supplier of the equipment, that is the wind turbine. Second stakeholder is the developer. Developer has a role of development of the land, the wind sites, and the balance of plant. The third stakeholder is an investor, and the fourth stakeholder is actually the buyer of the power, which is normally a utility or a private segment customer. And if you see the interrelationship, normally the investor puts in money with a contract either to the manufacturer of the turbine, and the developer who keeps the site ready, develops the site, installs the turbine, and then of course after that runs the turbine. Operation and maintenance also can be run by either developer or the turbine equipment manufacturer. So the first business model, which has been there for quite some time, is the investor has a contract with the turbine manufacturer, and it is turbine manufacturer who gets everything done, contracting with the developer, contract with the selling of power to the utilities through the power purchase agreement, and it is entire responsibility of the WTG manufacturer, that is the turbine manufacturer, and this is called as turnkey business model. Excuse me. So in that case, the buying of equipment, land, balance of plant, and everything lies within the scope of the manufacturer, but it's a very straight business model. The second model, which got evolved in the history of wind industry, is actually, this is called a self-development model, which means the developer develops the land and the other infrastructure, buys the turbines, installs, and actually commissions the wind farm and sells to the investor or the customer, and also runs the wind farm. So here the responsibility of manufacturer of turbines is limited to only supply and at the most, if required, commissioning. So here the supply chain scope of only, manufacturing of turbine. Turbine has basic anatomy of 4 major parts. One is nacelle, which is on the top of the wind turbine. Second is rotor blade, which are the fans assembly. The third one is a tubular tower over which the entire assembly gets fitted. And the fourth one is control system, which is inside, which controls the wind turbine. So in this anatomy, all these things are being supplied by the turbine manufacturer. And the developer does the rest of it, that is the power transmission and evacuation part. And the seller buys it, the investor buys it. Here the supply chain is divided into, between 2 groups. One is the developer group and second is turbine manufacturer group. The third business model, which also got evolved, especially in the countries like China and some part of Southern America, that the turbine manufacturer, actually their skill is mainly into the manufacturing of turbine and technology development. So they are focusing right now on the basic turbine and the rotor blades. Now the customer is actually, which has been traditionally investor. In China, government is only customer, that is the utilities. And they even take the control of the tower, which is a very heavy component. And that is how they, that has become a commercial trend in China to control the purchase of the towers. So this is a, third business model which got evolved. Only thing is, while this got evolved, the best part, the optimization. These are basically 3 business models which I have explained. So any questions on this, Dustin?
And what are some of the challenges with these business models?
Exactly. The challenges are the following. More the supply chain, which is kept with the, first model, if you take total turnkey, it is impacting the cash flow of a turbine companies. And because, the cost of turbine is quite high. Of course, it ranges various countries, various levels. It could be about roughly $1 million a megawatt. And the cash flow impacts, because the cycle time to complete the project is sometimes quite high, and that is why there is a challenge of cash flow. Now, even though investor has money, the project completion could be a challenge. Now, second challenge is, if in the second model, which is the technology, once you the developer tries to manufacture the tower and also the other electrical parts, the technology and the supplier quality becomes a big challenge. The cash flow issue is resolved, but then the technology of manufacturing, process technology, could be a challenge. Or right now, globally this challenge is being faced. And obviously, most of the companies, in order to reduce their cash flow issues, they try to divide the the scope of work, and so that the challenges can be reduced. So these are basically, I would say, challenges which are faced currently.
My last question is, what innovations can be done in the current business models?
Right. So right now, what can be done is, the best innovation could be the turbine manufacturer could offer the technology to the developer, and with their supervision, they could buy the raw material, and under their supervision, with the cash flow of investors, they can handle the production so that the productivity, quality, and execution can be on time. So if it is worked out jointly, like the turbine manufacturers whose strength or the skill is a great technology and process technology, they know who the best suppliers are. The investors have money and the cash flow can come, and the developer can work on actually the execution of the project. This is actually the best innovative model, and which could really work all over the globe, which should be acceptable by most of the companies, which will be a win-win-win situation.
And thanks, Joshi, for sharing today.
Okay.
Yes, I think this is good for the 10-minute interview. So, but we could always do follow-up discussions in the future.
Sure. Okay.